Welcome to Zeta Global Radio. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Wow, I'm so personally excited. I'm excited every week, but I'm really excited about this particular topic that we're sharing with you today because everybody loves love. Everybody doesn't have love the way they want to, and they're sometimes feeling stuck and wondering why, or what are the steps to attract the love that you want. And we're going to apply some really powerful, I won't call them secrets, but intentional guidance for you. And it's not just love today that we're talking about being abundant on all levels. For when you're in that vibration of love, everything really comes to you beautifully. And we want to talk about love in abundance. And we're going to magnetize it with my wonderful, wonderful guest here today is Anastasia Frank. She's a certified relationship coach. She is passionate about helping her clients to take their suffering from breakups or the absence of a loving romantic partnership and transforming it into the fuel for creating their most fulfilling and love-filled lives yet. I'm reading this off her bio at anastasiafrank.com. But what I love, before I get to have her on the show with me here, is Anastasia attended Princeton for her Bachelor's of Arts and then NYU for her MFA in film production, which you know that's a big part of the show here at Zeta Global Radio. So that was exciting. She worked in finance and film before following her intuitive guidance and passion to apply her unique blend of intelligence, creativity, and deep compassion for those who are suffering from breakup pain or the absence of a committed romantic partnership to begin helping clients build their most satisfying loves and lives. Welcome to the show, Anastasia. We're so glad to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here with you, Lainie.
Well, it's so amazing because here we were talking earlier in the week and we were discussing the multitude of topics that both you and I could shed light on with our experience, both personally and professionally. And just so we could share with the listeners how it evolved. Of course, I do tarot readings and intuitive guidance and support for many people worldwide. And earlier in the week, I had taught a class on love and relationships and through the eyes of tarot. And then you and I got talking about really the common theme, wasn't it, about how is it? What is the missing link? And I think we determined it starts within. So I think that will start the course of this hour. But before we do that, let's give them a little bit of Anastasia time and let them know sort of about your background and even what led you to do what you're doing.
I'd say basically what's maybe most important is, like you, I had this great, deep creative impulse, which is what drew me to film and to going to NYU. And I edited for many years. And I think that many of us have a sense of what our highest calling is, but we don't necessarily know how to manifest that or actualize it. So I had this kind of profound experience while I was editing. One night I had not yet met the love of my life, and I had grown up in a pretty abusive household with a pretty intense narcissist father, so I had no idea what healthy love looked like at all. And so I had just been suffering for years through relationships that were just not satisfying. They, they served a function and sometimes were fun, but they did not, I didn't feel seen in any of them. And so I had a huge growth journey to begin, and I feel so blessed that I encountered the work of Catherine Woodward Thomas and her book, Calling in the One, when I did. And I just started this excavation of my own soul to see how was I creating these painful experiences through my own beliefs and behavior. And I really started to get clear about what were my false beliefs that were creating this experience of sabotage over and over. And with the help of my own coach at the time and the reading that I was doing and all this work, I slowly and eventually uncovered what was really true about me that I hadn't known for decades. And I started just showing up inside of my truth. And I just watched as my life completely unfolded in this just miraculous way. And I knew by the time I met my husband and I had kind of shed all of the relationships that didn't serve my highest good, that something epic had happened for me, and that I felt called to share what I had experienced with everyone who I could, so they could have the sense of peace and freedom and enoughness that I was experiencing. So that's kind of what led me to coaching. Ultimately, I thought about becoming a therapist, and then coaching just felt like the way to be even most deeply in there with the clients, helping them create whatever they're really yearning for.
Well, I think I just met my twin sister. It feels like so much of the background that you just shared. I, too, grew up in a household with a single mom with some abusive partners that affected me deeply and kind of changed my course. And through that, you do choose relationships that are marked from your childhood. You do attract narcissistic people. I had a terrible narcissistic former business partner, and you called it sabotage, I've called them betrayals. And when you look at it through the life, and you do learn the blessings through all of them, because we come out the other side and we choose extremely nurturing, creative, expanded careers, which we have and do. But we also realize that the common denominator is us. At least that's how I feel. Like through it all, it's like, wow, why did that happen again? Wow, why did that happen again? It's like, oh, here I am, it's me. What is in with me is not fulfilled or is not attracting that. And I think what you just shared and what I just shared are equally important and the same, and that's what we're going to share today about how we've learned through our own experience and through training and everything else, how we are able to attract the divine love, the divine abundance, and everything that we're now going for. Now this show's all about that, imparting it with others.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you feel that the life story that you've had, you use it now as a tool for change versus a victim mode? Because I think that's a really important piece is getting out of the victim mode and using that powerful energy for helping others while you're helping yourself, because that's what this show's about.
Absolutely. So I was thinking about, this topic of how do people become magnetic to love and abundance. And I think the starting point for all of what we're probably going to talk about has to do with 100% self-responsibility.
Yeah. Perfect.
So, I don't think I really knew what that meant, and I still discover new ways each day to more deeply own this idea of being completely responsible for your life as you're experiencing it. And I think that when we're feeling sad or not abundant or not loved, it's very easy to go into these ancient feelings and beliefs that this is just how life goes for me. Like, of course my partner isn't being thoughtful towards my needs, because they never are. This is just how life goes for me. And so while we're in that place, most of us are walking around feeling terrible because we don't know we don't even believe necessarily it's possible to stop that pattern.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I think that most of us don't know that, but on some level they do. And that is where the conflict is, when the soul starts to sort of tap on you, knock on your door a little bit more, and get those signs that there is more and there's something askew and I'm not living my entire life authentically.
Yes, exactly. So from my experience, I think this conversation is so important because I think it's imperative for each of us to start, whatever that means to you, coming into contact with how you are completely the creator of everything. And that can feel scary, but it really doesn't need to. And this is why, because what we're going to be talking about today is a lot to do with, how we build love inwardly so that it can be experienced outwardly.
Yeah.
And it's subtle work, it's energetic work, but it's profound. So we're talking about, if you can think of the 3 relationships that are the most frustrating or disappointing, or just that aren't everything you would dream of, you can start to piece together, if you're willing, what have you been tolerating that is not really acceptable to your soul? That if you could design your life from scratch, it wouldn't be like this.
No, it makes great sense. So thinking about the 3 pillars, if you will, of the lover's card that I had pulled when I was doing this tarot class this week about love, and it was exactly that. It was love of self. And then that's inwardly, and it is the love of a partner. It's reflecting what you've become, so that person is attracted to you, and you're seeing the outward love. And it's also the divine love, the spiritual love, the governing body, whether you call it God or higher power or source or universe, whatever it is. But it's your connection to the more that there is out there, or spirit. I'll say spirit and God interchangeably, but why don't we do this? We'll take a brief pause, and when we come back, we'll start with the first core essence, which would be love of the beloved. How's that?
The first core essence, which would be love of the beloved.
Okay. We are our own beloved. We'll start with that. How's that?
Absolutely, yes.
All right. Terrific. You're listening to Zeta Global Radio. Thank you so much for being here. We'll be back in a moment. Hi, Lainie Sevante here, and I'd love for you to visit my new Facebook page for my private tarot and oracle session readings called Intuitive Wisdom. That's IN2UITIVE Wisdom. Conscious strategies for manifesting a more harmonious life. Don't we all want to have that? Let's see what's in the cards for you as we look at what needs to be cleared, expanded upon, and evolved. There's a lot to explore when we take a deeper look inside ourselves.
Sandy Wyndham is Florida's premier artistic photographer. Her passion shines through every picture she takes. Whether creating a series of artistic shots, headshots, corporate shots, or capturing one of life's most memorable moments, she just can't be beat. Consider Sandy Wyndham Photography. Visit her now at sandywyndham.com and let her know you're a ZGR listener for special discounts.
Welcome back to ZGR Today. Are you feeling the love? We're here with Anastasia Frank, who's a relationship coach. And before we get into this topic of self-love, are you, when you say certified, are you in a particular modality, or what does that mean exactly for our listeners who want to know more about you?
So I trained under Catherine Woodward Thomas in the Calling in the One coaching process and the conscious uncoupling process. So that was the beginning of my coaching adventure. So those are really aimed at helping people like I had been, who just haven't called in someone that they feel and know is their ultimate love, to do that. Or conversely with the conscious uncoupling, who've had a relationship and it ended through divorce or a breakup, and they're just caught in the grief and despair and perhaps making disempowering meaning of it and feeling hopeless like I used to make really empowering meaning and open to real love going forward.
Well, it's actually perfect that we segued there for a minute, because it's showing how important it is to have that inner love for ourselves. Otherwise, we'll repeat the pattern until we get it. And so you do find people choosing the wrong relationships, ultimately leading to divorce. So right now, this is perfect. We'll segue into this piece because we both agree emphatically how important it is to have love of self. Because without that self-worth, without that empowered knowingness that you rock in all ways, you will have a different vibration you're putting out. Your beacon to the world and to who is receiving of that energetic signature is going to be matching you. So you'll be matching someone who's equally at a lower vibration if we're not feeling empowered and loved by ourselves. So let's start there and talk about inner love.
Yeah, what a great intro. I think, this is one of those things where I used to hear people talk about self-love and just be confused or indifferent because it seemed so abstract that I couldn't even understand what that really meant. So if anyone's listening and freaking out a little bit, I just want to normalize that, because it sounds very abstract until you start practicing. And I see that with all of my clients currently and from before. So when we talk about self-love, and I'm so excited to hear how you think about this too, Lainie. For me, self-love is about how do we relate to, know, and honor our deepest, authentic feelings and needs in each moment and globally with what we're doing and how we're showing up in the world.
Mine's very similar. Self-love to me is honoring the divine essence of who we are, honoring our soul's desire to fully learn all that we're here to do, and by doing it through the eyes of love, through the eyes of spirit, through the eyes of for me, it's love all, serve all, but we can't be anything. We can't give unless we can give from the overflow. So what is it within ourselves? When we are not self-loving, we are dishonoring the soul's, sort of, plan for us. We're being more human and being lost in what everybody else thinks we should be doing. So the should have, would have, could haves need to be erased in order to have self-love. Don't you think?
Absolutely. So it might be helpful to share maybe two practices that I find most helpful to people who are wanting to cultivate that. Does that work?
Yeah, because we'll have to just let them know that these practices not only, I'm sure you're going to share, aren't just about love, but it's about the word abundance too, because we can't have one without the other. They all go together. They're all part of the same team, birds of a feather. So
right. So at its most simple level, if you're just beginning and this all is kind of news to you, I generally have clients just start by naming three of their feelings first, and the language would go something like, sweetheart, what are you feeling? And you're talking to yourself. And I actually really like writing this out because sometimes it's easy to get lost in thought. So what are you feeling now? I'm feeling peaceful. And then you mirror back, I can see that you're feeling peaceful. Or I'm feeling agitated and anxious. You mirror that back, I can see you're feeling agitated and anxious. And you do that 3 times, asking for each emotion without needing to fix anything. So the purpose here is you're just holding yourself and witnessing what's going on for you. So you're feeling anxious. You're feeling, I'm scared. I'm seeing that you're feeling scared. And that's the first half of the most simple practice, and that will already begin to lower the anxiety that you're experiencing about anything going on. And then you move into, what do you need? So, sweetheart, what are you needing in this moment? And I write all of this out for myself to this day, just when I need deep clarity or in the moment in my mind. So I'm needing love. And you can ask clarifying questions like, who are you needing love from? I'm needing love from you. Okay, I see that you're needing more presence and love from me. What else are you needing? I'm needing movement. You've been working me so hard. My body needs to play. Okay, I see that you need movement. And again, not fixing anything, just witnessing. What else do you need? I need you to let go of this person that we're seeing. I don't trust them. They've been unreliable and it's hurting me. Okay, I see that you're really wanting me to let go of this person. And it's very important. One thing I learned as I was mastering this myself, it's deceptively easy, but it's about being willing to practice it consistently above all else. Mm-hmm. Is that when I started to practice this, because I had never done it before, I just didn't care. Because growing up with a narcissist, you learn that your value comes from how you can serve other people. Mm-hmm. So I had never thought to ask these questions before, and so the way I used to ask them was in the voice of my father. So it was like, how are you feeling? And it was like, oh, okay, so you're feeling sad. It was just not a welcoming face. And then so it's very critical that you set the intention to show up as the most loving adult presence that you possess so that anything that's being experienced is welcome in you. And there's an art to that comes with practice. Mm-hmm. So that's the beginner version, yeah.
On the show, on Zeta Global Radio, we're now going into our 4th year. We've had so many different beautiful healers on the show, whether they are EFT tapping specialists or they're law of attraction specialists. I myself am a big fan of the David Hawkins scale that talks about our levels of vibration and the attraction. Is very similar to the set point that you see with Abraham Hicks. But whatever one chooses, there's many ways. And of course, I choose, I look at how spirit divinely guides people through tarot. The cards never ever lie. They're showing you a direct blueprint of where you are. I particularly use the 5th tarot deck that Teresina and Martin Backens, they've been on the show before. It's based on the elements. So I look at somebody and I look at where they are in self-love. I look at, do they have too much fire? Are they burning people out? Are they burning themselves out? Or do they have too much water? They're drowning. Do they have too much, are they too much in their mind? And then the air, they're in the air element, which is feathers. And so they can't really ground, which is the stone. So I actually work in the elements and show people through tarot where their self-love is and how they need to be their own beloved, because there's cards that clearly are going to show them inward love is needed. Okay, you're good here, you're not good here, so they can find balance. Because if someone can find the balance and first recognize that it requires you to be balanced emotionally, spiritually, physically, mentally, that is where I would say is on my end would be a really important foundation, is to get, like you said, is to check in with yourself. But for me, I use the cards to show people like, we are a little askew here. Let's find our way back to harmony. So then we have that, again, as I said earlier, that beacon vibration that's on point to, of course, we'll talk about in the next segment here, bringing that outward. But it has to start with sort of refining ourselves, and just with your technique and some of my suggestions, hopefully that'll give people some good starting points.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. what energy you're operating inside of. I love that, Lainie. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And there's little tips we've had on the show too, of course, about journaling and doing others. We have about a minute left. Do you want to share any other tips before we kind of move into that outer? I mean, we could talk about, we actually need a series of a show to do what we want to talk about, but we're giving the abbreviated versions of inner, outer, and divine. But we have a minute left if you want to share any last part about self-love.
So this is a very critical piece. So with almost all of my clients and with myself, I'm a big practitioner of inner bonding or inner connection work from the book of Margaret Paul. And so it's fabulous to start naming your feelings and needs. And where our relationship to ourself actually changes is in the actions that we start taking based on what we hear. So in the 6 steps of inner bonding, after you've, first of all, you make yourself willing to be responsible for what you're feeling above all else. That's huge because you don't want to just not care about what you hear. Then you identify what's going on and what beliefs you're carrying, and you're willing to challenge the beliefs that you've got going on. So you might have he didn't call me back because I'm not lovable. Or if you're in a partnership, I have to take out the trash because I matter less than my spouse. Or, I have to do work that my boss tells me to do because my needs are not important here. Whatever that is. And you step into a tigress energy that's deeper than that belief, usually from your family of origin, and you ask, what's really true about this belief that I don't matter and that's why this is happening? And you listen for an answer from your adult self. And sometimes you're fused with the belief because it's so old and so deep, and we'll talk about this more later with guidance. You bring that to guidance and ask what's really true, and then you bring in that truth that your needs matter greatly. And it's imperative for you to let people know that this is not acceptable, or to move if that doesn't happen. And then very critically, Lainie, is that you then hear that and you take action. So you let your inner self know, I'm going to go let my boss know that I'm not available to work over the weekend. Anything you need before Friday is cool, but I have a family and I'm not willing to do that. And then your intuitive center will freaking love you and will start to heal any beliefs that she's not important or he doesn't matter, because you're taking real action on his or her authentic needs. And the more you do that, the more powerful you become.
Beautiful. We're going to take a break here and then move on to the next topic. But in a nutshell, you can't be of value to anybody else until you value yourself first. We'll be back in a moment. Thanks so much.
Spiritual Communities Network, where we honor the uniqueness in our oneness. Visit our website to meet our vast spiritual community of healers, therapists, conscious events, and activities. Visit and check out our directory, upcoming retreats, workshops, products, free videos, and much more. Many services are available globally by phone, Skype, and other sources of media. You'll also find more information on how you can be a member to promote the work you're doing in the world. Visit us now at spiritualcommunitiesnetwork.com.
Trice Massage Therapy and Skincare is Southwest Florida's premier holistic and wellness spa to relax and rejuvenate your well-being. Founded by Lucille Trice, this enlightened haven located in Cape Coral offers a variety of massage therapies including Swedish, deep tissue, and trigger point massage. Trice offers detoxifying body wraps and facials using natural organic ingredients to pamper your skin and restore balance and health. Visit their Trice Massage Therapy and Skincare Facebook page or call 239-672-0526 and book your experience today. Mention ZGR and receive a complimentary ionic foot detox experience. Welcome back. If you are just tuning in, highly recommend you go back to the beginning of this segment where we're here, both myself, Lainie Sevante, your host, and I'm actually double duting as like kind of a co-guest with Anastasia Frank about love and abundance and all of it together. So we talked about inner love and self-love, and we mentioned, of course, that's so important as a foundation. We could do a whole show just on that. But you're getting the Cliff Note version, and we will do other shows. And we were just saying, wow, we should probably spin off a workshop, because this is also my favorite subject too. As you said, it was yours. But here we are, and many people want to attract their love. They want to attract their partner. They're lonely, whatever is going on, or they're really ready. They've done what they want to do in their career, and now they're opening up and sharing space. I remember back in the day, I was building a very big project, and I was really clear that, like, you know what, that project's going to be my lover, because I don't think I can give to creating and birthing this entire, I don't do anything small. So I was, creating this massive project. But I said, when it's over, I'm going to be ready for a relationship. And a month later, at the time, that happened. So I was really talking, I was really setting an intention, but I was also saying, like, okay, when are you ready? And then what do we need to do to bring in that outer love? Now that we've done some work, how long it takes someone to do that work. And I don't think it's ever over, right? Because there's just layers and layers. We just continue to evolve in that.
Yes, completely.
So where should we start? We're now at the point we've done some work on ourselves, and now we want to bring in our partner.
Okay. And maybe this is a great moment to connect what you were talking about earlier of how connected becoming magnetic to love and abundance are, how they really are the same, two sides of the same coin. So I think when we're talking about outer relationships, this is the space where I personally find some intention setting very powerful, and intention setting coupled with a gratitude practice. And that'll frame everything else that we talk about regarding interpersonal, like, principles and practices. But I think it's so important for us to be willing to use our imagination to tune into what we really want. Not just like a little, like, I want a nice guy to be around, but like, I want a partner who turns me on mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, who is the rock on which I stand, who I feel like home to, who lifts me to my highest spiritual awakening, as do I him or her. And that we let our imagination go there, because our rational mind doesn't even think the imagination really matters, and that's actually our superpower. So I really invite your listeners to be willing to spend regular time imagining what they're wanting, both in love with a partner who sees them and knows them, and in abundance. I'm earning $600,000, running my own business, healing the world in the process, whatever that is, and let yourself feel that vision like it's here now.
I'm chuckling because where I'm sitting, I have a vision board beyond all the technical equipment, and I was staring on my vision board under the I'll have to just take a picture of it, but under the big piece that says Making Miracles, I had changed the world, just as you were saying about that. So I was like, yep, okay, that's in alignment.
So I think this is really critical because, I went to a good college and I came from a very rational background, and so I was kind of like, what is this visioning thing? Like, I don't really know if this matters. Even while I was dating my partners until I found my husband, I did this every day for over a year, probably closer to 2 years, to make sure that the ultimate vision, which was obviously growing, so I want your listeners to not freak out and think they have to figure all this out. Like, when I started, my intention was to be with a man who valued my happiness. because that represented a breakthrough. And then by the end of the year, it was like all the things I just described were on my Post-it note, which was the last thing I pulled off when I moved into my husband's house. And we were laughing so hard about how exactly we had manifested what was on the little note. But when I would sit with this energy of the beloved who was not in my life and was nothing like any man I'd ever met, but who was pouring his love into my heart, what it did was open me up. And frankly, I used to cry almost every time I did this because it was so foreign for this imagined creature to cherish me, the real me, without needing to do or prove anything.
Yeah.
That it was an opportunity for me to practice receiving the love I was wanting before it appeared, so that when I did meet Eric, and he would freak me out consistently by saying things I had heard in my visioning, verbatim. You are the most beautiful woman in the world to me. You feel like home. I can't believe how lucky I am to know you. I could stand there and receive it.
I want to share 2 points you're bringing up that bring such relevance. One is it goes back to the self-love, but it's more about my own verbiage is time to take the chameleon off. And I say that to my clients that I do readings for. It's like, you don't no longer have to be everything to everybody. You just have to be who you are. And that's who your partner's looking for. And I also love the fact that you said a little note, because I had more of a sonnet when I was attracting my husband. My first husband, we were together 15 years and we're still extremely close. We co-parent beautifully. I had a list of 10 things I wanted in a husband, and he was 9 out of 10. At the time, I thought I had to be with somebody Jewish, but so he was pretty much 9 out of 10, but he grew up in New York, so he seemed very Jewish at the time. My current beloved Howard, before Howard and I came into union, and that is a little bit of a saga in itself, which people know on this show, but I did make a list. I said, what do I truly want in a life partner? And I wrote 33 very specific, very clear, this is who I am and this is what I want my partner to be, an extension and really of how I feel, think, be. I wanted to be in union. Anyways, I wrote 33, and Howard is 30. He's 33 out of 33 and beyond. I even call him Mr. 33 sometimes. So the power of getting really clear on yourself first is what we're saying will work the best. And I'll just share real quick and then we'll bounce back over, is I've shared this before on many talks about how to have my pillars, which are having clarity of vision, having definiteness of purpose, and having steadfastness of faith. And I used those 3 pillars when it was creating what I wanted in a life partner. How it came to be was you never can predict how you're going to meet your life partner, but in any case, Howard is my partner and forever and then some. So I think whether it's a note or a list or it's just getting that clarity of vision for oneself is beyond successful in attracting the new car, attracting the new job, attracting the husband, the wife, the partner, etc.
Yes, and this exactly. And I love your list of 33, and I do think there's an elegance in simplifying to some extent. Like for those of you who are calling in someone from scratch, I like the idea of like 5 core qualities, and then you can have your like more extensive list just for what that's worth. But also, what I feel is a beautiful practice that I have used for the last 4 years. And I invite all of my clients to do is to sink into like. In this vision, and I love your 3 pillars, they're very beautiful and effective, is to ask, like, what would life look like in a year from now when I have everything in place that I want? And to write out the 3 big intentions. So the year that I met Eric, my husband, I had intended to meet the future father of my children and all the things I said, my soulmate and someone who lights me up. And that was one of them. And the other one was, I was working in film. I wanted to find my calling. So for those of your listeners who are wanting to have much more abundance, that was the year that I 5 times my income. So talking about opening, and my theme of that year was honoring my value. So I really invite people to choose 3 things that they would love to receive in their world, whether it's in love or their job, and then feel into what the theme is. The first year was honoring my value, and then it was receptive abundance, flowing abundance. And then each week, like you're saying, the power of writing things down cannot be underscored. And I do this to this day. So every Friday or Sunday night, I write out my 3 intentions for the next week that will action my big intentions. And I love finding these notes all over the house because it's ridiculous. It's like when you take the time to ask, what do I want to create? And what am I going to do about that this week? You start finding these trails of how life has given you exactly what you asked for or something better. And that's when I think it's vital to take the time to write out or dictate into your phone or into Evernote or a journal, whatever you like, and honor what's come to you and go, wow, thank you for introducing me to this man, whether he's my beloved or not, who is so fascinated by me and is generous and kind, for showing me a piece of what I'm looking for. And for this interview I had, for me showing up as confident and a catch. And you honor every way that life is answering your deepest call. And that just brings more and more and more of it, versus people who just kind of set an intention and they think maybe in December, like, what happened? Versus like, why not be grateful every minute of every day?
Oh, without question.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to add on to that, because when people set those intentions, at least for me, who's an avid tarot reader, and I don't even want to date myself, but I've been reading cards for nearly 30 years. Whether it's tarot cards, oracle cards, I've got decks and decks. But when I get clear on the intention, then I pull a card like, okay, Spirit, show me, what do I need to do to support that intention? What do I need to do? In this case, what element do I need? Okay, I need to ground that more. Oh, you know what? I need to think it through more if I get something that's showing me that I have a lot, that the air card, the feathers or something showing me the mental realm. So I use the cards for myself and for my clients extensively to do that, is to intend it as Spirit's giving you direct messages on, little this is how you do it, or this is what I might suggest for you. And it's really for people to be open and aware to the signs that what is happening is working. What you're wanting to attract is starting to show up. You got to be aware. You can't just put it out there and just say, okay, great. It's you got to work the energy and do your part too.
And that breeds more of it. So when we talk about magnetism, that's where this piece is so critical. And I was at a lecture last night that was talking about the power of being receptive. And it's so true that every time you say thank you and mean it, either to a person or to life or to yourself, it just feels so good that you are planting the seeds of whatever just happening 10 times more so. And so you're growing, like you said, through your awareness, more and more of what you want, to the point that you don't even notice anything that is unpleasant or uncomfortable because it's not relevant anymore.
Exactly. It almost bounces out of the field. I call it bouncing out of the field. It's not in your field. We are going to take a break. When we come back, let's share sort of that third element that we're talking about, is the overall connection to soul, connection to spirit, the divine love. All right, we'll be back in a moment.
The Remedy is Albuquerque, New Mexico's premier urban day spa. Created with you in mind, The Remedy offers a spa experience that goes beyond the highest quality treatments and products. They're there to help you relax, regroup, rejuvenate, and escape a bit from your busy life. You'll feel it the second you walk in their doors. They have a distinct menu of Ayurvedic services and therapies to infuse a sense of peace and well-being while allowing you to enjoy a luxurious feel and experience. Ayurvedic lifestyle consultations are available and suggested treatments that include Shirodhara, Marma work, therapeutic massage, Ayurvedic oils, detoxification, and nourishment of the body. For more information, please visit theremedydayspa.com today.
Can I just say that this is one of my favorite shows in 4 years. I'm enjoying this immensely. Thank you. And I hope everybody's feeling this too, because this is, unfortunately, when we're big energies, we're given big lessons, and we've been given big experiences, so we can then impart that to others with full clarity that this isn't just you read it in a textbook, you've lived it. But you mentioned something off air about setting boundaries and not giving your power away, and those are definitely a full discussion later. What came to mind when you said that is we're talking in this segment about connection and love and magnetizing our relationship with spirit, is that for me, I always use the expression about putting your staff in the ground. When you are solid in your knowingness, when you are solid, you've done your self-worth, you've put out what you want, you're clear on your vision, and now you're giving it to that co-collaborative co-creation with God, or however you call source. That is like, okay, you've given your menu, you've given your prayer, and now we want to show people that this piece is equally important. You can't have all this knowledge and think that you're the only one in control. The more you realize you're not in control, that there is a higher source. Of course, on this show, everything is about spirit. That's what we do, is conscious radio. So our listeners know that you have to have this connection to source for anything to function in your life. So that's what this segment is about gleaming the humanity of who we are with the soul essence of who we are.
Yes, absolutely. So, this is so important. And I think the piece that's most relevant when we're talking about almost becoming magnetic to spirit and source in the context of bringing in more love and abundance is, like you just said, to first recognize that you are collaborating with life. Yeah. At the deepest level. And your listeners are a very special group of people who already are very aware of this. But I can just speak for myself that, I grew up in an atheist sort of environment, and so this was very foreign to me. And at one point I believed if there was a God, he wanted me to suffer and was punishing me for things I don't know what they were, because I'd had so much trauma and disappointment. But it was one of those things, like we were talking about, where you start to become conscious of your beliefs so you can shift them. And I was aware I was not believing in a friendly God. And I just, as I encourage a lot of clients to do, you kind of fake the belief until you discover its wisdom, or you fake it till you make it. And so I just started asking life, like, okay, what would you have me do? What are my next steps to become the woman I would need to be to attract in and sustain the ultimate love of my life and the work that is meaningful? And I write it out by hand to this day every morning. I don't do anything until I've sat with this question. And it was astonishing. Like, after the first few days of just not really thinking it was possible, I get these incredible hits of where to go, what to do, or just who to remember that I was before going somewhere. And it just was the most amazing experience, because I saw I'm not alone. in this journey towards self-actualization, and actually life is very willing to collaborate with you and to guide you if you let it and let go of what you think should be happening, if that makes any sense.
That's huge, actually. That's huge. I have to chuckle because I'm recording today from our home studio, and I've said before that the animals they swarm when they feel sort of the energies of what we're talking about. And all the animals want to break into the studio right now. They all are they're feeling the love. And it actually goes back to the truth, because they're such empathic beings, that when we are in a love vibration, we are abundant. People are attracted to us. The animals, we got the animal magnetism. It's almost like spirits, like they're the spirits messengers. So I'm just laughing. I got dogs wanting to come in. I got cats crying. Like they need to be around what we're talking about today. It's almost hysterical. So I just had to note that.
They're so welcome. It's like, it's no surprise, right? When we become open to love of ourselves, love of spirit or God, there's no place where we stop and they begin. It's all one. I mean, that sounds esoteric, but it's not. So your loving energy and our loving energy that's vibing them into the circle, it's no different. And that's another big principle of just this process in general, is seek to be love wherever you are.
Beautiful, yes.
Like, that means there's no difference between your generosity towards the clerk at the grocery store and how present and aware and kind you're being towards that person, and your availability to your beloved. It's so you want to be in the habit of relating to all beings as the beautiful children of God that they are, and to trust that as you open to loving the totality of them, it becomes inevitable that your beloved is part of the field, but that you're so capable of filling up your felt experience of love from people that have nothing to do with your beloved each day.
Yeah. Well, it's perfect sense, and that's what we're talking about, is the wholeness and the oneness, and that is really the platform I share entirely, and that is perfect in this segment when we're talking about divine love. Requires us to have the acknowledgement of oneness, that we're all connected, and so it's not a solo effort; it's a we energy, and that is really. The more we share in that feeling, the more we're going to attract abundance, the more we're going to attract love. When we go into any other area sort of lower in vibration, then the results are the same.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, in just a few minutes we have left, I want people to know how they can reach both of us. Obviously, they hear me on the radio show, so I'll just... let me start with Mind with Intuitive, and then let's let them know all the ways to find you. So, of course, on the Zeta Global Radio Facebook page, you see time to time me talking about intuitive wisdom, but you can also go over to my Facebook page, which is Intuitive, but I spell it with I-N, the number 2, UITIVE, Intuitive Wisdom, and it has all the information on getting a private reading, being part of my group chats, which I always find is very interesting because I do them on themes and everybody aligns to the field. So everyone's going through the same thing when they show up in these collective groups. It's pretty amazing. And we read the cards either privately or group. And I'd love to share and impart my intuitive wisdom that will help you seek more love, abundance, health, anything that you are going for. So people know how to get hold of me. Now let's tell them about you, Anastasia.
Oh, sure. So I guess I'll just start by saying, if anyone wants to, I just wrote an ebook, and if they want to dive into some more of my favorite practices, they can go to my website, which is anastasiafrank.com. So ANASTASIA Frank, FRANK.com. And there's a little book you can download called 10 Practices to Reclaim Your Power, Build Your Self-Love, and Start Kicking Ass in a Major Way.
I love it.
Yeah.
Good title.
Yes. It just felt appropriate. So I'm so happy to gift everyone that. And also for your listeners who feel very aligned to my dream clients and the people that I love working with, I'd be happy to offer a complimentary consultation of 30 minutes if someone wants to work on deepening their self-love, connecting to their intuition, and really like hitting a home run in having a relationship that they love or recovering from heartbreak.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I live to work on. So they can contact me through the website, or you can email me at anastasiafrankcoaching@gmail.com.
Wonderful. Thank you. Well, I believe that we'll do this again. I think we can pick any one of these subjects and speak further. Let's see what the listeners let us know, how they were touched. And we'd love for you to send us your feedback. Put it on the Zeta Global Radio Facebook page. And we're fortunate now that we have our shows airing on YouTube. So please share these far and wide. And we hope that with the knowledge we presented to you today, although brief, but I think we packed a little bit of we got a good hour in to share the basis of how to get some of these attractions happening and energy moving, that they will absolutely bless people and allow them to further expand.
And thank you so much for thinking to host this, Lainie. You are a blessing of high order. So
thank you. Ooh, see, and I'm receiving of that. So I know I've done some work. There was a time where people could say something, and I'd be like, thanks. But now it's like, oh, you feel it, and today's about receiving. And we truly believe that if you are listening to this, that you have the opportunity to receive for yourself whatever connected for your soul and will allow you to move to what you truly desire. Thank you for being here today. Thank you, Anastasia. Thank you, everybody. We wish you nothing but beautiful blessings and great luck with all your endeavors. Thank you. You're listening to Zeta Global Radio. We'll see you next week.